Hello out there in TV land. I'm Vice Mayor Lora from Prescott Valley, and I have the all-round best guest ever. And it's Harvey Skoog, the mayor of Prescott Valley. The mayor has decided he has other things to do, and he's going to retire on us in January. So I thought it'd be fun for us just to have a little chat. What do you want to say to defend yourself, Harvey?
Well, first of all, I don't know about other things to do. I think I'm just getting too old to keep doing.
Oh, we're not buying that one.
You don't buy that?
No. You, even if you think you're retiring, I'll bet your family has other plans.
Well, I'm a lame duck mayor now. My wife is kind of worried whether being with her all the time, I'll be a lame duck mayor, or husband, I should say.
Lame duck husband, okay. Well, good for Edna. Well, I've got a list of questions that I think citizens want to know. I certainly want to know. Why did you initially run for the town council here in Prescott Valley?
You know, that I don't think I want to go into details real specifically. What happened is one of our councilmen, his wife was sick, and she wanted to move back and wherever, I think it was to Arkansas or somewhere, spend her last months with her family. She was dying, it was terminal. And I put in my application, and believe it or not, I was appointed. Surprise.
What made you put that application in, though? You told us there was a position available, but you didn't answer my question. I'm going to pin you down.
You know, okay, I guess I can share with you the details. At that time, the town was real small. We had about 4,000 people.
Thank you. That's some of the information I was hoping for.
And we had a kind of a ragtag police department, unlike today's, which is very highly professional.
Very professional.
And I can remember I had two boys that were in driving age. Just, you know, young, 18, 19, 16, 17, whatever their age was. And believe it or not, one of the police officers kept stopping them. They had about 4 or 5 officers then. And the boys would say, "What are you stopping us for?" "Well, you look suspicious." And that was kind of annoying right there. But then one day, one of the boys came home and he says, "You know, he's accusing me of spinning around in a parking lot and throwing up gravel and chipping windows and doing all kinds of stuff." And he said he's got four witnesses that have signed statements. Well, I went to the town hall. That kind of irritated me. I thought this was stupid. My son said, "It's absolutely not true." So I went to town hall and I said, "I want to see those signatures." And the officer, the deputy police chief was there, and it took about 10 minutes. I said, "If you don't want to show me the signature, I'm going to pull the Freedom of Information Act, and we'll get every record in town hall, and I'm going to spread them across the lawn. We'll find out what's going on." It took him about maybe 10 minutes. It didn't take long. He came back and he said, "There's no signatures." Well, then the opening came up on the council, and so I put in my name for that.
Now, folks, we have the nitty-gritty. That's why I wanted to do this today. Well, now we know why you decided to serve, but Mayor, what kept you serving for 26 years?
Well, it shows one thing. Some of us aren't too bright. We go back for more. Community's been real good to me, and lucky for me, the town has continually become better as we worked on it. And I've had the good fortune of being able to work with our outstanding council, and that kept getting better too. In fact, the last few years, I've never had the pleasure of working with better people than we have now. Our staff is absolutely outstanding. And to be truthful, we have one employee that's been with the town for 36 years, and another employee that's been right behind her.
Right behind her,
yeah.
Yes.
And these employees, when we can show longevity like that, and we've had a lot of longevity, it shows that our town has been very stable.
And it feels very good to serve in this setting, doesn't it?
Oh, it's excellent, and for me, it's been really a blessing. Now I consider myself the luckiest mayor in the state. I talked to the other mayors. I was on the League of Cities and Towns Executive Committee, and I heard of the challenges that they have: dysfunctional staff or a divided council. We didn't have either. We have a very functional staff, 100% functional, and also a council that comes to a decision. We don't always agree, and that's okay. If we all thought alike, we would only need one of us.
That's right. We wouldn't need 7.
And we've been able to get opinions from those 7 council members.
Well, I want to back your statement up. You and I have traveled all over the state together on my terms when I've been your vice mayor.
Right.
And it's very, very comforting to know the reputation that our mayor and council and staff have.
Oh,
Everywhere we go, we hear about Harvey, and they ask us, how can we in our community to achieve, the quality governance that you have? And I've enjoyed that tremendously.
well, thankfully, Laura, it's with good people like you and the rest of the council that made it work.
Well, I'm grateful for that. You mentioned you were on a committee, the League of Towns and Cities. Tell us a little bit of the committees that you served on that you recently had to resign from because you're retiring. I don't think our citizens know how many different committees you're on.
Well, the major one, of course, was League of Cities and Towns Executive Committee. Very important, and what a great committee to work on. And kind of a special privilege, because not everybody gets to serve on that.
It is a privilege, you're right.
And the other one I really appreciated was being on the Governor's Commission for Homeland Security.
That's the one I want to talk a little bit about. Homeland Security. How large was that committee?
Oh, I would guess about 20 people. And they tried to pick different, people from different situations. I was the mayor, probably the only mayor on it. They also had a police chief and a fire chief. And they had a judge on there. I can't remember what all the, one of the officers from DPS, in fact, I think it was the chief officer himself.
All right, you're ready to be embarrassed. You're a humble man. 20 people, 1 mayor, and it was Prescott Valley's Harvey Skoog.
It was. That was a privilege.
It is, and I'm sure that you learned things in that committee that you didn't share and couldn't share since it was about Homeland Security.
Yeah, we took some real extensive studies at some of those sessions. And of course, being just north of Mexico, one of the big studies was the cartels in Mexico.
Right.
And how they could be controlled and prevent problems here.
That's different information to have, isn't it, Harvey?
It's very different, and
Yes.
it was very, very well done. And by the way, the chief of that committee was really a good officer. He had been with the FBI.
That's good to know. And that committee still stands. We still have them functioning and working for us to be safer in Arizona.
Much so, very, very truthful. They're a very good committee.
All right, I'm going to make you uncomfortable again because that's my job today.
Not
Self-appointed job
Not
today.
the first time, but go ahead.
No, not the first time. Harvey, what do you consider are some of your accomplishments that the town of Prescott Valley benefited from?
Well, of course, I think there's many, many things, of course. We look, when I first got on the council, I think our bond rating was like a B- or something like that, very low.
Exactly.
Today we're a AA+, one step away from AAA. And I believe that's a big accomplishment to see our bond rating go up. Another thing, our sales tax revenues have jumped from, they've jumped huge over the years. because people like to come here and do business. And when they do business, they're successful.
I don't know if I ever told you this story, Harvey, but I can't name them because I don't have permission. But a very prominent business here in Prescott Valley, they've been here about 10 years now. That's the only clue I'm going to give. I asked them after a council meeting one time why they chose Prescott Valley. And this is what they told me. We were so impressed with your staff and your mayor.
Mayor too, it's a surprise.
And I've never told you that all these years, but they told me that they saw a highly functioning body of professional people that they found lacking elsewhere. And I've never forgotten that.
Well, that's true. Our council has really been great. The mayor has done the least of all. If you look at the most important people in town hall are the employees.
Absolutely, I support that statement.
Immediately below them are the council and the commissions. And they're very important. Mm-hmm. And at the bottom of the list is the mayor. And for some reason, the mayor gets all the credit, and I never could understand that.
I'm probably not going to get out of you today what I hope because you're too humble. Is there any other accomplishments you'd like to share?
Well, let me look at the list here, if I may. One thing that I'm really pleased about, we have around 16,000 people working in town.
Right.
And people tell me, well, you don't have the jobs up here. Well, 16,000 out of 46,000 population, that isn't too bad.
Let me interrupt you and say this, and you can comment. I think our citizens would be surprised at the diversity of jobs we have up here.
Oh, we have excellent jobs. Now, it's like everywhere else. You have the more moderate ends like retail and so forth, which they have a nice salary, but it's a much higher salary on the industrial type or manufacturing
well, we
type
have
jobs.
Tool and die shops that make parts and items for the government.
Then that's true.
And we got to be careful what we say about that. People don't even know we have that kind of business here.
Well, one of my friends started one of those businesses. He had one employee and himself. I talked with him, with this employer. Now, he's no longer in it. His son is there and two grandsons. They're running that business. They had I'd say about 110 employees. Huge, very successful. And of course, that isn't the only one. I look at another one I'm very proud of is Superior Industries.
Absolutely.
They came here with the idea of having, starting with 18 employees, and they thought they'd go up to 25. They're over 100 today.
I know, and whoever thought little old sleepy rural Prescott Valley would get one of 3 Lockheed Martin facilities.
That was an amazing feat.
That was very amazing. That's one of your accomplishments.
That's one of the great ones we got. But there's so many there, and believe me, we appreciate every single job. And some jobs are entry level, some are highly professional level.
Well, we're quickly running out of time, so I'm going to move on from that question. And if we have more time, we'll come back to it. Now, you're humble and you don't like to talk about your accomplishments, but what would you say to me about things you would like to have accomplished? Is there anything you wish that had happened in this, say, the last 5 years?
I'm not sure I can pinpoint something more specifically. I'm really happy about our 3 hospitals. We have the general hospital,
right,
the rehab hospital, and the mental hospital. That's a lockup, much smaller, but it's a lockup facility, and we need that too.
Yes.
We're the only Northern Arizona County with community with 3 hospitals, and I'm very pleased about that. And they're good hospitals. Our general hospital.
Highly rated.
Highly rated, yes. In fact, our rehab hospital is rated in the top 10% in the nation. And I believe it'd be safe to say our general hospital is very highly rated. And obviously, the Western Guidance, or Central, the West Yavapai Guidance Center, really a great agency.
Well, I'll reveal that I have served on that
You do. You have.
board
And
for
appreciate
many
that.
years, and we have many challenges, and I'm very proud that they are not just in Prescott, they're not just in Chino, they're also here in Prescott Valley. They have a very large presence here.
In fact, their headquarters are here in town.
Their headquarters are here. Harvey, have you ever talked to any about, through your term, we'll just say as mayor, what the biggest challenge you faced? What challenged you the most?
Oh boy. There's obviously been many challenges. One, of course, is to elevate the relationship of the council to the community. When I was first sworn in, this is the second time around, in 2004, I would have somebody in my office from 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10, all day long.
Yeah.
This went on for several months, and they were getting the bellyache off their system. And all of a sudden that stopped, and now today we have there's still bellyaches. Once in a while things don't go right, but to get peace with the community and the community contented, that was a very big issue, and we've done it. Thanks for the real good council.
It was the case for me. I'll share a special time that I experienced before Harvey came back the second time for mayor. My first year in office was 2003, and we had a double recall
Right.
of the mayor and the vice mayor, and we fired our town manager. And I can remember thinking, I'm not real sure I made a very wise decision here. Now get ready to be embarrassed again. I'm going to tell you that many times. And I did not know you. I only knew of you. But I had been reassured when you won the election for mayor that that chaos would be gone and that I needed to stick to it and stay and run again.
I'm
and
pleased
Harvey,
to hear that.
You're the reason I
Well,
did.
I'm not sure I'm the reason for it. It's
You're
people
the
like
reason.
you and the rest of the council.
Why would I risk another year like that first year?
Yeah. You took a gamble and it worked
I
out.
took a gamble on you, Harvey.
But that was because of you and the council. We had a super council.
Yes, we did.
And-
We had
and
very
that's-
strong, competent, caring council. I've been so privileged to serve.
It hasn't been me very much. I've been there, but the council and the staff is what made it work.
Harvey, what's your vision for the future of Prescott Valley?
Well, I think it's safe to say the community will keep growing. We're growing about anywhere from probably an average 40, 50 homes a month. And I think we're going to keep growing. It'd grow faster if they could build houses faster. But there's going to be more jobs here. And I'm so happy to see our Yavapai College growing here in the community.
Yes.
I'm so happy to see NAU growing here. I'm hoping that we'll have much expansion of education.
Hopefully we'll have a freestanding NAU campus here out in the future.
That would, and I'd like to see a huge allied health.
And the allied. Well, Yavapai College is doing a pretty good job with that. We might share with the citizens the new building, over here on Glassford Hill. It's like walking into a hospital for their allied health training program. It's just amazing.
They're so good at Yavapai College. But this may interest you. About 40 years ago, when I was still in Scottsdale, one of my clients was a counselor, high school counselor. And at that point, he said that probably can consider the Yavapai College as the best in the state. And believe me, from everything I've seen, it not only was the best in the state, but it kept on improving. We have really an outstanding college system. And even better yet, so many of our high school kids are graduating with a high school diploma in one hand and a 2-year degree in the other hand.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they're getting huge, what is it called when they go to college, the funding. Scholarships are huge.
Yeah, I believe last year Bradshaw Mountain High School had over $7 million worth of scholarships.
And that says a lot for our community. We do have an outstanding public school system, but also we have the great charter schools here in town.
You know, what we're really talking about here, Harvey, is partnerships. And I think you have excelled at creating healthy, beneficial partnerships.
Well, thankfully, we've had a real close relationship with the public school system, close relationship with the charter school system, close relationship with our hospitals, close relationship with our industry and our retail. And look what it's brought us. It's brought us nothing but huge success.
And another thing that I think you've contributed to is regional cooperation. It is so very different now than it was even 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, our relationship with our neighboring towns, Dewey, Humboldt, Prescott, Chino Valley, has been just, and not only that, but we have meetings in Cottonwood, Clarkdale, Flagstaff, you know, wherever we do, we're part of the Greater Arizona Mayors Association.
Right.
And naturally a part of the League of Cities and Towns. And we keep on working.
You know, I've mentioned it many times in places that you and I have traveled all over the state together, and that's what we were doing. We were going to league meetings. We were going to the GAMA, the Greater Arizona Mayor's meetings. We really traveled to a lot of cities together. And I want to lead into retirement because we're about out of time. What's your plans for retirement? Do you have anything like a bucket list that they call it now that you'd like to do?
Well, let's say that, first of all, there have been people that have asked me to join their foundations or their associations. Bucket list, I have one major bucket list. I just want to have a few days of nothing if I can just relax. I know that won't last.
Good luck getting that.
Yeah.
Okay, after you have those few days, how about traveling? You still enjoy traveling.
We'll do some traveling.
You'll still be going to Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota and Washington State. And I'd like to make a trip to Washington, D.C. someday. Yeah, we have a few dreams.
There you go. We're getting it now. To Washington, D.C. Why do you want to go to Washington, D.C.?
You know, it's been years since I've been there, but you have to go through the Smithsonian.
Oh, yes.
Through the Holocaust Museum, see the Capitol, see the White House. All those things I'd like to see again.
I'm excited that's on your bucket list. Now, we need to talk a little bit really quick about your 40th anniversary gala. You didn't want it. You were embarrassed. You were uncomfortable. But now that it's all over, what do you want to say about that?
Well, first of all, I was shocked and overwhelmed.
Yes.
Thankfully, they didn't ask me to do any planning on that. And that was much more than I expected. Almost 500 people were there.
Yep, almost 500.
And it just totally shocked me. That was a little bit more than I could cope with. I'm still overwhelmed.
Well, having been on that planning committee and had such a big part to play that night, I was trying my best not to make you any more uncomfortable than I knew you were. But I was enjoying every minute of the accolades and the expressions of appreciation that you received that night. So, Harvey, let me help you be a little more comfortable with that. Although you were the focus, and always will be the focus of that gala, those of us who've spent all this time with you, we were able to enjoy it on your behalf.
Well, I appreciate that.
It was important to us as well. And now we're going to have a Skoog Boulevard.
That was another shock. It totally floored me. I had no idea that was coming.
And you're going to have a plaque, a big, beautiful bronze plaque.
That was another thing that totally floored me.
Well, we've got just over a minute. What are the last words you want to say to anybody listening to this?
Well, first of all, I hope and wish for nothing but continued success of the staff, of the council, of the new mayor, of the community. I want our businesses to prosper, make more jobs. We've got a lot of young people here and families. They need jobs. I want the town to be successful, quiet, crime-free, just a great community that it is, and even greater.
What would you say to citizens that don't want any more roofs to be put in place here?
Well, it's easy. If they don't want roofs, it's an easy solution to the problem. Just buy the property and you can keep it vacant and pay taxes.
I knew you would say that. I'm so glad you didn't disappoint me. Well, Harvey, on behalf of the council, on behalf of the staff, thank you for the leadership. Thank you for the quality of inspiration that you provided to each and every one of us. I was so privileged to serve as your vice mayor for so many times and years, and I'm just glad that you're not moving away.
Well,
that would be hard.
First of all, I was privileged to have you as my vice mayor, and that was probably the greatest thing that's happened to me. We had another good vice mayor, and I've had several good vice mayors. But our staff, I couldn't appreciate people more than our staff. They've done a wonderful job, and the community itself has treated me very well, better than I've deserved.
I think that's all that needs to be said. Thank you, everyone.
Well, thank you a lot.